You are tuned in to the Foxcast podcast, the one and only podcast devoted strictly to Ford-powered Fox bodies. Welcome to the Foxcast, iTunes' one and only destination for late model Ford performance. On episode number 2, we've got a really special guest today. Name is Steve Moberley, longtime NMRA racer and shop owner, and great friend of mine for a lot of years. Steve's got a wealth of knowledge and experience in the industry and building Fox bodies, has built a ton of them. So, Steve, welcome to the show. How's it going?
Thanks. It's going really well, Caleb. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So, I had to give a little bit of history on, the background, how we met. I think it was around 2000 when you were building the 92 that you took NMRA racing. I believe, what class were you running the red 92 in?
That was Pure Street.
Pure Street.
NMRA Pure Street. First year they started.
And did you hit the championship that year?
No. I did do a lot of engine swaps, though. I ended up, I think it was like number 7, though I did win a race and I did hold the record for a while.
Yeah, that's awesome. And if anybody remembers or read, Muscle Mustangs or 50 Mustang magazine back in the day, like I said, it was 2000, 2001. If you saw the two-page spread for Maximum Motorsport, Steve's car was actually in that ad, and that ad ran forever, didn't it?
Yeah, that was really good for me. It was really great that they did that, and I did run their products, which are really great products, by the way. And they were very grateful. They really were trying to get into the drag race market at that time, and their parts worked really well on my car.
Yeah, that car was beautiful. I had a chance to see it kind of, morph from basically a stock car to, full on, competitive drag car, and loved that car. Now, shortly after that, you acquired a kind of a very famous old car, which was the Evil Twin.
Right. Yeah, that was built by Chris Beningo and Billy Leskowski to be a copy of the car that they had won the Hot Street Championship with the year prior. And they had raced that in NMRA Real Street. It was the first Real Street car to run a 10-second pass. Just to give you an idea of how long ago that was, it was kind of a big deal when a stock cam blower car went 1099. But yeah, I got that car and teamed up with Darren Hendricks, and we won Pure Street. We did win the championship that year in 2003, when the class was running about 1070s.
Lots changed since then.
Yeah, absolutely. Pure Street's about a second faster now.
Right.
The cars, everything's come a long way since then.
Absolutely, yeah. That car was awesome. I had an opportunity to check it out several times in Bowling Green, and I was just blown away by some of the success. And one thing I did want to get into a little bit, Steve, is obviously a lot of people who have street cars or street strip cars, they're like one of their goals or dreams or whatever you might call it would be to run the NMRA circuit. And really get out there and try to make a name for themselves in a professional environment. So, just kind of in a nutshell, what does it take? What is the experience and the investment that it takes to really truly get out there and be professional and attack the pro circuit like that?
Well, I certainly to be successful, you're competing with people who work really hard and who really know their way around racing and have significant experience and all that. So to be very, very successful, you have to work really hard and you have to have your A game with you all the time. But I would encourage people to just get started. There are a lot of places in that sanctioning body where a person who doesn't have a lot of experience can actually just do it the way I did, jump in with both feet and you learn a lot really fast. And some of those experiences, that's the only way you're going to have them is by getting out there and competing and seeing what it is you can do and what you need to learn.
Exactly. And, and just my experience from, meeting some of the racers and stuff over time is like, it's a pretty tight knit group. And if I'm not mistaken, everybody's really, really pretty much cool overall and, are very helpful and, look to, if you need a hand, they're more than willing. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, nobody's going to, give away the super top secret stuff, but a lot of those guys, are really open. They want the sanctioning body to grow, and they know that having a class with more racers in it or faster cars is good for everybody. So I think a person who's new to it would find that the existing racers would be very, very helpful.
Absolutely. So if you had to say, when you all jumped in and really attacked this, what was the biggest shock or surprise, that you weren't expecting when you got in and really tried to attack the NMRA?
Oh, I would say that the level of the people involved, that you're getting out there and you're doing it serious. I mean, it's not, NHRA or something like that, but it's definitely, you have to elevate your game from where you are, at if you just go to your local track or whatever. I'd say that, the biggest surprise was the level of commitment required. It was not at all uncommon to, like everybody else, I worked a job, that wasn't, involved in the racing or whatever. So I'd work, then as soon as I'd get off work, I'd come home, change, go out in the garage, and I'd be out there till 1 or 2 in the morning a lot of nights, just trying to make things work, trying to make things better, or, figure out how I was going to go, 100th faster the next time around. It really is a full-time job when the race season is going on to stay competitive and be out in front.
Yeah, I mean these guys, I think a lot of them, have their own shop and they've got their staff and they're working on their cars during the day while they're doing other stuff. So yeah, I mean, unless you're that guy, it's a huge challenge.
Right, and that is one of the things though that made it really gratifying to be successful doing it. Because the level of the people you're competing with. If you can keep up with those guys, that's actually saying something.
Exactly. Yeah, and there's the competition is so fierce. It's awesome. Well, thanks a bunch for that, Steve. I mean, like I said, I know there's a ton of guys that'd love to do it. So having some of those insider tips, I think, is just invaluable. So let's switch gears a little bit. One thing I did want to talk about is, I think it was shortly back when you were building a red car. You had 2 salines, I believe, a black and a blue one.
Yeah, I had. They were both 89s. The black one was actually number 5 from 1989, and then the blue one was 221, I think. But number 5 was neat. That was the car that I turned into a factory stock car and then a real street car. Was a little schizophrenic at that time. But that was neat because that car was supposed to be an in-house car. That was originally some Saleen executive's car or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw that car and I was like, oh my God, did he really cut up and make a race car into a number out of number 00589 Saleen? But that thing was absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thank you. It was fun.
And if I'm not mistaken, was that the same motor that I bought from you way back then?
Oh, that's going back a ways. I've had a couple motors, so it's hard to say. But it may have been the original motor out of that car that you got from me back then. That we put in my garage, I believe.
Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to segue in. I had the opportunity to buy one of your old race motors, and I don't think that motor even made the track. I think it was just a dyno motor.
Right.
And put that in my raggedy 89 GT, and you were totally cool. Like, I didn't have a garage or anything, and cold as hell outside, and I think we burned through two tanks of kerosene on your heater, but we got it in.
It was cold that year. Yeah, I remember that. That was that was a neat project. It was a lot of fun.
It really was, and that car ended up running. That car that was actually kind of famous in town here because nobody could really, wrap their heads around the fact that a 306 was. I think I got down to a 757 in the 8th mile on drag radials. When everybody else, was they had 347s and we're running 780s, 770s, and my little 306, come out and run a 750, and I was like, it's not exactly your off the shelf,
Right.
It was. I just kept the secret of what that motor was built for between me and a couple close friends.
Right.
But
it is amazing what you can get out of them. Nobody believed me. When I would take that to the track back in the day, nobody would believe it was a 306 or where are you hiding the bottle or that sort of thing.
Exactly. I mean, I got the same thing, and everybody swore it was a stroker, and I was like, no, just you put the time into the short block and some brains into the heads, and you'd be surprised. Instead of throwing cubic dollars at it, throw some cents at a motor and see what's possible.
Right. A little bit of know-how.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So right now, obviously, you and Darren Hendricks are you sponsoring? Are you guys kind of in together, or?
We initially what we set up was it's for NMRA Coyote Stock, so we're running his 93 Cobra. And initially what we did was, of course, he had the car and I bought the motor, and we teamed up that way for 2014, which is interesting because it's the opposite of the way that we did it in 2003, whereas it was my car and his motor. So.
And if nobody has seen Darren's Cobra, I mean, does it even have 30,000 miles on it?
No, it's got 22,000 original miles on it.
I mean, teal gray cloth. The car is freaking immaculate, and then you open the hood and you got this gorgeous brand new Ford Racing, Coyote motor, and it's absolutely beautiful. So, what kind of success are you having with the Cobra?
Well, in 2014, Darren ended up number 2. He missed the championship by 100 points down there in Bowling Green. So that was, that was exciting to come out and be able to still, to do that. So that was, and then this year he's had some other commitments, so he wasn't able to go the full schedule. However, he did just runner-up at the Super Bowl race in Joliet.
Nice.
And then last year he did win that race, and then he also won the NMRA versus NMCA round and got his championship ring and all that jazz. So that was pretty cool.
Awesome. So you're kind of getting dialed in.
Yeah. I mean, he's talking very seriously about taking doing the whole schedule next year, and I mean, he's got the car working really well. He definitely, a little better 60 foot, and he would have gotten by Drew Lyons there in that Super Bowl race. So I think the car could be, a contender for the championship next year for sure. There's, the funny story about that car is he raced that car in Pure Street against me in 2000. He's had that car apparently since 1994.
Oh, wow.
And he raced against me before we ever teamed up in 2000. And then we got the idea to go at it together, which really has worked well for us. But in any case, that car, he's had it for a long time. It sat for several years after we quit racing Pure Street. And then he sold it to a fellow in Illinois who had it and completely, with the exception of cutting the roll bar out of it, completely turned it back to stock. Put stock 93 Cobra brakes on it, stock 93 Cobra rear end. Was turning it from a race car into a street car. He had it for a couple of years, and then Darren bought the car back and turned it back into a race car and redid all the stuff that he had previously done to it. So he's turned a 20,000-mile 93 Cobra into a race car twice.
That's all. See, I didn't know that. That is awesome. So did Darren still have all the original motor and everything from the car?
Yeah, he still has the original motor, I think maybe except for the heads, but yeah, he still has a lot of original parts for that car. So which I don't know if he'd ever put it back, but he's hanging on to this stuff.
It's crazy though. I mean, the car is beautiful.
Yeah, it works really well. It's definitely. I mean, it's a super nice car and it's a super great race car as well.
Yeah, it's awesome. I can't wait to see it next year. Are you guys going to make Bowling Green this year?
No, Darren, that was one of the commitments Darren had this year which so he kind of knew he wasn't going to make the season. He's got a wedding to go to that same weekend.
Oh, jeez.
So he just was like, okay, we'll just do it as a building year and attend a race where we can.
Sure. So one other big thing, you've just got a shop open.
Yes.
So, yeah, tell me all about Scram Speed.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we just took delivery on our Mustang Dyno, so we've got that, and we've teamed up with Lund Racing to offer tuning services and that sort of thing. But we do other stuff too. We do Holly EFI, we do Mega Squirt, we do you name it, basically HP tuners and those sorts of other options as well. And then we also do engine swaps. We do, brand X, we're non-denominational, but, the Fox body stuff is, of course, the most popular stuff that we do. We do Coyote swaps like we did on Darren's car and my Fairmont, and then we also do, LS swaps and 351 Windsor swaps and that sort of thing to, try to really, help people get a lot of bang for their buck doing that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, doing a motor swap's no small task, especially the first time. So that's awesome that you've kind of modeled the business towards that.
Yeah, it's a really popular alternative. Unfortunately, these cars are getting to be pretty old, so it's sometimes the quickest way to get going where you want to go is to just change it up entirely.
Exactly. Yeah. So the shop car, which I guess you kind of alluded to earlier, is the Fairmont, which I love the Fairmont. Tell everybody about the Fairmont.
Oh, okay. The Fairmont, it's an '82 Ford Fairmont Futura. I bought the car out of Michigan. It's kind of neat because it's basically been rotisseried. It's Ford chrome yellow on top and on bottom. It's the nicest car you'd ever want to work on. There's no rust falling on you or anything like that. It's got a Ford Racing NMRA sealed crate Coyote 5.0 engine in it. It's got a C4, whereas Darren's Cobra is a stick shift. And it's been used to race NMRA factory stock. And it also does serve as a little bit of a test mule for, tuning and, trying to come up with new Coyote parts to help guys do this swap.
Sure.
And it's been, obviously has not been as successful on the track as Darren's car, but it's still been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like I think I got to see it make a few passes. I think the paint wasn't even dry on it at that point. But sweet car. So that's kind of been your test mule and all that. As far as, guys wanting to get into the, considering doing the Coyote swap, what's the best advice you could give to them?
I would add up the dollars and cents really carefully before you get started. I would make sure you're aware of all the parts you're going to need and, the associated costs and that sort of thing. As far as the physical swap itself, it's really not that bad once you've got the right parts on hand. It's just, there are a couple of expensive outlays that you have to do to do that swap. For a guy who's already set up for a mod motor, obviously it's a lot simpler, but the Coyote, the control pack Ford Racing sells makes it very simple to do the swap. And it's just you want to know what you're getting into before you get into it as far as the spend, I would say.
Sure.
It is something that's becoming a lot more affordable because the F-150s that have the 5.0 Coyotes, there are more of them ending up in scrap yards, so that you, instead of buying a crate motor, you can buy one of those F-150 engines, and with a little elbow grease, you can make that run every bit as hard as the ones out of the Mustangs.
Right.
And save $3,000 to $3,500 over buying the 5.0 Coyote crate motor.
Right.
Control pack will work, but you do have to make some other changes. My hope is that perhaps maybe that'll start to supplant the LS a little bit as the popular swap.
Sure.
Because now the motors are becoming more available. And for a stock motor, those Coyotes run really hard. People are always astounded, the Fairmont, which isn't even a great time for a Coyote motor, will pull a 690 in the 8th or something, and people are just knocked out that it's a totally stock engine.
Right, it's crazy. I mean, the amount of the money, dollars that you would have to spend, to get a 347 or something like that to run those kind of times. I mean, it's comparable, if not more expensive. Wouldn't you think?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. By the time you pay for the machining and all that jazz, I would say absolutely. And then you've got, and then too, I would pretty much guarantee that Coyote's got better street drivability and all that sort of thing than than a stroke or push rod motor would have.
Absolutely.
And they, of course, they respond really well to supercharging. Our experience has been that they will also take the stock rotating assembly and basically Ford packaged engine will take more power than, say, a stock 5-liter Block 2. So you can, whereas, it seems like the roller block 302 gives up right around 500, you can easily get 100, 150 more than that out of the Coyote and have it be reliable.
Right.
And obviously there are some guys with crazy cars that, go a lot higher than that, but as far as a sustainable horsepower level, you can definitely get more out of one of these Coyote motors without worrying about your block or that sort of thing going south on you.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's definitely something to think about, and as the price comes down, I think you're going to see a lot more people doing it. And there are the push rod purists that will probably never take the leap, but if you're really wanting to run good, I mean, it's something that I've kind of got on my horizon as well. I mean, they're amazing engines. I'm glad Ford finally did build something amazing again for us to use.
Right. Yeah, it's nice to have competitive horsepower.
Exactly.
Again, so to give the new guys something to hit the streets with.
Awesome. Well, Steve, I've kept you too long. Real quick, where can we find Scram Speed?
You can find us on Facebook at Scram Speed and also on the web at scramspeed.com. We're headquartered here in Champaign, Illinois. And give us a call or look us up. We'd be happy to help out.
That's awesome. Dyno facility, all kinds of swaps. So, anywhere, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, it's central Illinois. So, you really can't get much done other than like Anderson in central Illinois. So, check out Scram Speed. And I will have his contact info up on the website. And Steve, I wanted to thank you again for coming on the show, talking Foxes. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Caleb. Thanks for having me.
Thanks again for listening to the Foxcast podcast. We are everywhere. Stop by and check us out. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and our website, thefoxcast.com. And we will talk to you next time on the Foxcast podcast.